Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about what I did in the last week when it comes to games and where I try to cover some of the news that caught my eye. So let's get started as we usually do with some EVE Online. I played, I would say, a moderate amount of EVE Online, especially in the first part of the week. I did do quite a bit of mining, some selling, and still again buying up some PI now that it is quite a bit cheaper than a few weeks ago to get on some of those advanced PI materials. I did make a few purchases and I'm pretty much ready for the base hull of a large citadel. So at this point I think that will be focusing quite a little bit on making some money, making sure that I have all the funds needed to buy a blueprint copy, possibly a market hub, fittings for a large citadel, and just keep going into the preparation vibe for the Citadel expansion, which I'm hoping that will get a release date soon. That would be a very nice surprise from CCP. Other than that, well, at the end of the week we have been war decked. That was actually a little bit strange and unexpected. On top of that, it was pretty bad for us because no one was online for like 24 hours after the war deck hit us, and as a result we had to evacuate most of the valuables from the boss as the war deck had just started. But we were pretty lucky when it comes to that because in the first 10 minutes of the war deck or so I called everyone up. We started evacuating everything of value from the boss, and just as I was hauling the last bit of valuable stuff, the enemy actually came online, and we actually lost a stealth bomber. I lost a stealth bomber and Cedar Balnit lost a destroyer catalyst in some skirmishes on gates and on the stations. But we've got a war deck on our hands. It is going to be interesting because we have some ships ready. We also have seen that these guys are actually red in Providence, so we could try to play some games with them that way. And on top of that, we've also already been offered assistance, which we have accepted, where another alliance, because it's actually a war deck to our alliance, where another alliance is helping us out here. So we'll see how that evolves. It was pretty obvious that they did have some preparations when it comes to this war deck. So they had a battleship and at least a Phobos ready in SS Kama, which is of course what surprised us and what made us lose those few first skirmishes. But now we're gonna try to come up with a plan, try to come up with a counter, and we'll see if we can make anything happen in this war deck in the upcoming week or so. I'll keep you guys posted, of course. Other than that, I played a decent amount of Diablo. That was quite fun. Some people were not too happy with the latest video where I was basically still doing the story on in normal mode, which is way too easy. But I've jumped ahead quite a lot. I've played a good amount of hours, and at this point, in fact, I have done all of the challenges for the season except for the very final one, where I have to finish a class set dungeon, which I'm trying to do with the Crusader Invoker set, but I'm having a pretty hard time actually doing that. Still, I've also made a few videos on that, but they're taking much bigger jumps in time. So by the next video, I'll already be level 70 doing bounties. After that, we'll be doing rifts and stuff like that. So yeah, at first I was basically trying to do a real comparison between the Diablo 3 experience and the Path of Exile experience. But I have to be honest, the Diablo 3 experience is so fast, so fluent, that you're better off just making a video at the end of every week and you'll see the huge amount of progress that you're making in just a few hours of gameplay there. So it is definitely a major difference just in how you're supposed to cover something like your progress in Diablo 3 compared to something like your progress in Path of Exile. I think in Path of Exile you'll have unexpected good drops, moments where your build comes into its own, and there are at least 2 act bosses that are a real challenge regardless of the difficulty setting. In Diablo 3, the early part, getting up to level 70, is just so easy that if you know what you're doing, you can probably blow through that in just a few hours, and it really all becomes about grinding rifts and trying to complete the challenges so that you have a complete set, and then you can really jump, make a huge jump in power all of a sudden. That made a really big difference. So I'll keep that going. I think I need to do a little bit of grinding and find the correct build to finish the class set dungeon. And after that, I'll basically have finished Season 5, and then we'll see how much time I still want to spend with the game. But I have to be honest, doing the rifts is fun. I'm actually enjoying that. So that surprised me a little bit, but I've played a decent amount of Diablo 3, got a few videos finished for that as well, and I'm almost done with all of the challenges from Season 5. So good times there, and we'll see how far I can keep going with that. I also played a bit of Banished, not that much, but I think especially in the first part of the week, I did spend a few evenings building up the town that I've started there. It's going quite well. We're getting good supplies of stone at the moment, and it's growing quite rapidly. I don't think I want to give you guys like separate videos on Banished. Basically, I think when I feel like I've reached the limits of what I want to do with this playthrough, I'll just give you guys a quick overview of the town that I've built there, and that will be it. But when I'm looking for some relaxation, then it is of course Banished that I turn to. When it comes to some extra news, there's obviously a few, and this actually froze up, so let's maybe quickly refresh the EVE Online page. And are you going to? Yeah, there we go, got some animation going. For EVE Online, there's two news items, of course, that are blowing up at the moment. The first one are the skill extractor prizes, around €5, $5 for an extractor. Honestly, it's within the realm of my expectations. While a lot of people seem to think it's too expensive and a greedy move by CCP, honestly, this was pretty much what I was expecting. This also gives CCP room to provide deals, sales and stuff like that on the extractors themselves, cutting them down to like $2.50 or something like that. At some points they're gonna do that, but what I definitely feel, I'll probably make a separate video once those hit TQ and once we actually have an idea on the actual impact of the release of these extractors on the game. Take a look at volumes, Plex prices, impacts on other goods and things like that. But for now, what I'm also seeing here, and why do you keep freezing up? What I'm also seeing here is that CCP actually acknowledges a lot of the feedback that people gave who were against the idea of the skill extractor, because they realized that just allowing this to be almost a free way to optimize your skill point pool is actually not really good for the longevity of the game. And as such, there is a bit of a barrier of entry. You have to pay money to CCP if you want to take advantage of that service. It is going to cost you a little bit of money. Or a major thing as well, at the very first, this was started as a solution for new players to catch up. Well, I'm sorry, but you're not going to catch up just by playing the game a little bit. You're going to catch up by paying CCP a lot of money, just like the guys you're buying the skill points from will have done already. So this is a business decision, and honestly, I'm not that surprised at the price point for the skill extractor. Still, we'll see what the release actually brings. It could be that CCP actually decides to review that still, so I'm holding on for making a video about it until it actually hits TQ and we can have a look at the first impacts of that change. Another EVE Online news, it's not exactly EVE Online, but it's related to CCP, so I'll just bring it like this, is that Dust 514 is going to shut down on May 30th. So this is the console shooter that CCP has going that is slightly linked to the EVE Online universe. And to the EVE Online experience with like orbital bombardments. Yeah, at some point this was bound to happen. It was also already stated that basically Project Legion is a go. They're going to try to use the lessons they've learned there, the technology that they've developed there, to bring a shooter in the EVE Online universe to the PC, which I think most of us EVE players will agree that they should have done that from the start. and I'm of course looking forward to any news on that. I think it's looking good now to for us getting more news on Project Legion at FanFest, which would be pretty big, I think, if they could start giving us some details on that. And if we're lucky, maybe alpha, beta starts, something like that. Maybe a ballpark date for when something like that is going to happen would be cool, because I'm not a console player. I love the idea of Dust, although I would like to see it at a grander scale, something closer to another shooter. Which one am I thinking about here? It's also on Steam. Let me take a quick look here. Go for the free-to-play titles. Most popular. Is it going to be up here somewhere? No, not even on the first page anymore. Sony Entertainment. Marvel Heroes is up here. MechWarrior. PlanetSide, that's the one I was thinking about. So personally, I would like to see Dust be a bit grander in scale, have PlanetSide features, but then have like base building, be some sandbox experience, things like that. But it's looking good for Project Legion, honestly. If CCP can now put all of their energy into developing a great shooter in the EVE Online universe for PC. Personally, of course, I'm all for that, and I'm looking forward to any news when it comes to that. News that's not EVE Online or CCP related. First of all, well, Black Desert Online has a release date. It's going to be March 3rd right here. So it's interesting. It's a game I had an eye out for. Am I going to buy that on release? I don't think so. If this was the only thing coming out there, I probably would have made the purchase just to check it out, to see if it's worth it. But I also think this being an MMO, a sandboxy MMO, this will probably have launch problems, server problems, things like that. And I don't think it's a bad idea to wait for reviews, to wait for the actual cash shop implementations that they're going to do there, to wait to see if there's any really big problems that need to be fixed first. So for Black Desert Online, I'm planning to hold back, watch the reviews, watch news coming out when that game is actually released. And at the moment it looks like it's going to be a buy-to-play title, so that means that maybe on something like a sale it would be a really good time to move in on Black Desert Online, because just buying the game should give you access to pretty much all of the content, although a lot of that could be gated behind a serious time sink, so that you would be encouraged to use the cash shop, of course. But yeah, March 3rd, if you have any interest in another MMO to spend some time in, then Black Desert Online could be something for you to look at. What I'm probably going to buy is The Division. That's coming out on March 8th. So basically I read about the release date for The Division first. A couple days later, Black Desert Online came with a release date right around the same time frame. And that means that I pretty much have to make a choice. And if I have to choose between starting a separate MMO, a sandbox MMO on top of that close to the Citadel release, or a shooter where, well, there are some aspects of the pricing with the season pass, with special events that will only be accessible to season pass holders, that are possibly problematic. But I think even if it's a $50 game just for the base game, personally, I think that if it's a good enough shooter experience, I'll have enough fun and I'll be able to spend 50, 100 hours pretty easily in The Division, just exploring the game on my own, at my own pace, doing my own thing, and trying to find some fun in that game. I think it won't be a big problem to get my money's worth just buying the base game. And so that, unless something drastic happens between now and March 8th, like a serious problem, or Ubisoft goes completely crazy on the price points or something like that, I'll probably just pre-order it a few days before release, and I'll give that a go. Something else that could happen, of course, is that we actually get a release date for Citadel, and that might throw everything out of whack again. But at the moment, it is looking like I'll buy The Division, move in on day one for that one, explore it, try to have some fun, and try to share that with you guys. Anyways, that's basically what I wanted to share with you for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.